Hey, Control the Trade here, taking a look at Uber, doing a little follow-up video. Done a lot of posts on Twitter on Uber and a couple videos as well. And I always mention important numbers. Two of those important numbers that I talked about recently were 35.15 and 36.08. I don't recommend always playing into earnings like as they're happening, but when you know your important numbers, you take the trade with a lot more confidence. So let me show you what happened with Uber. This is really, to me, it's fascinating. Uh, I actually had a couple resting buys in. If you look at a 10-minute chart here on the 2-day, so we're gonna go back to where it happened after hours. And this is the part I find fascinating. So I'm watching Uber, and I don't even know what would happen to how the market's receiving the news. At first, it seemed like it wasn't good news because it started to spike. And before that, I had some resting buys in, and my resting buys, meaning I just had like the prices I wanted to pay, were of course 35.15 and 36.08. Well, really, I had like 36.09. I figured, hey, if it's going to spike, it should find support at my numbers because, well, I believe in my charting and they've worked before, and it wasn't too much of a long shot there. It wasn't too much of a risk to take those prices. And a lot of the times when I do that, it doesn't happen. It doesn't get to those prices. But this time, what happened was, and you can't see this now because it's not real time, but the first spike down nailed 36.09. I think I got filled, and then like 30 seconds later, it crashed right through that number. So it was important for a few seconds, which was cool, and then it wasn't, and that was fine. And I was like, okay, 35.15. I think I might even put in my buy at 35.25. These numbers aren't going to be perfect every time, but they're close. They're approximate. So 35.25, and I was so disappointed, obviously, when it was 10 cents above that. And then what happened after that? Rocket ride. Look at this. Then we closed that candle all the way at 37.75, and we started flying, right? And then my next number was 39.95. I did take some profits up around that area. I had some sells ready to go. Once it was on the move, I was confident we would start spiking through. My other numbers were like 37.33. I've mentioned that in previous videos, and I think 38.60 was another number that I had been watching that I didn't chart here. So then 39.95 spiked through, and I was like, what? That is crazy. And I was like, I guess we're going to 42. And it just seemed like sometimes it gets on such a run that you have to be very careful because the reaction will be really hard either at the top or bottom. And you can see that example here. Here's your big reaction on the low where it found support, and here's your big reaction when it found resistance at 41.03, which, let's take a look at the chart here. My next number up was 42. Maybe I should look back at 41 and check the importance of that, but I had 42 as the number that I was waiting for. I will definitely look back to see what 41 means on the chart, if anything. But that was a heck of a trade, and then the next day was interesting too. More trickery from the market. In pre-market, it went down again, and I actually ended up buying, I think, again at 37.35, something like that. Let me see here what happened pre-market. I don't even know if this candle is shenanigans or not. If it actually did go to that low, I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can see where it tried shaking traders out. Maybe there was some short covering, and then we just we rocketed up, and then we kind of actually just hung around. This is how I knew 39.95 was important. Look at my times. Kind of hung around 39.95, and we just couldn't get past that. It was like kind of after that, it just started hanging around in the like 40.40, 40.30, and it's just teasing 41 all day. So anyway, it was a good trade, and everyone's super bullish on Uber now, of course. And the chart itself is a nice looking chart now. We're above all the moving averages. We do have this gap here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we fill the gap. It's not a big gap. Let's see, 36.81, open at 39.98, and a low 38.86. So I wouldn't be surprised if we revisited. I'm going to say 37.40, 37.33, maybe even as low as 36.50. And you never know, maybe they'll come back to 36.08 again. I wouldn't really rely on those numbers as much once they've been breached, or once they, meaning the stock's gone above and below it enough. It doesn't hold that same importance. 35.15 was really important to me Because if you go back to one of my old videos, we talked about how that was the area that it got rejected. It was really like 35.10 or 35.14. It got rejected and went on this like long kind of downtrend for a while before we got back to where we are now. And we started to reverse in, I guess, in the beginning of the year, and it really in December. Yeah, towards the end of the year into January. You know, a lot of people stop talking about it. It gets off everyone's radar, and you get FOMO buying, and all of a sudden CNBC's talking about it again. I mean, really, I don't talk about fundamentals often, but I mean, look at Uber. It's essentially Coca-Cola if Lyft is Pepsi. So if you believe in the ride sharing and that sort of market, I mean, those are the two players, right? Maybe they'll consolidate, maybe they'll combine like SiriusXM or some of these other guys, but this is a really important market. I mean, who who really takes a cab anymore, honestly? And they have so much more to their business and bigger plans of their business. But if we're just talking, uh, you know, the ride sharing, I mean, that's a game changer just for society. I mean, I was in Vegas for a trade show, and I took a cab, a taxi, from the airport to my hotel on the way when I landed, because it's normally what you do there. And I think it was like 35, 40 bucks. And on the way home, I was like, realized I could take Uber because Vegas has some restrictions on it. And I took an Uber, and I think it was like $20. So, I mean, Uber is also worldwide. This is not just in the United States here. So it is just revolutionary. We're gonna look back and be like, wow, I could have had Uber for $25, or I could have had Uber for 40. I think it's a heck of a risk reward play, and I'm not talking technicals right now, or it's both technicals and just the company itself. What a risk reward play! It reminds me, and I'm sure other people have made this comparison, like Facebook. Um, when it got cut, the IPO got cut in half, and everyone was super bearish about it. And what do you know? I mean, it comes back strong, and it hasn't looked back since. And I think Uber is kind of a more sustainable business model long term anyway. But that's another story. So yeah, Uber and these prices, we might look back and just think, wow, we could have had Uber for under $50. That's crazy. But right now, I'm just day trading it. It offers tremendous opportunity. And just remember, look at the charts. News is way secondary. Fundamentals are way secondary to charts and technicals. I hope I've proven that over and over again now in some of these videos and my tweets. No one's really going to believe that. I didn't believe it. I didn't know what technical analysis was. And then you learn and you start realizing it's more than technical analysis, by the way. It's not just, you know, moving averages or whatever, all the other nonsense that people call technical analysis. This is what I've learned about charting is a little different than that. So I know it gets judged a lot, like technical analysis. Like there's a lot of hate on that with people who are kind of in the financial world or people that have MBAs, and those don't really apply to stocks in the stock market. They just don't. How often has that meant anything for an individual stock or even the market itself? It's psychology, it's math, it's technical analysis, it's charting, it's cycles. Look up WD Gann if you've never heard of WD Gann. You'll be fascinated. You'll probably go down a bunch of rabbit holes. I don't even know that much about WD Gann yet. I'm learning. But the way that I learned is kind of in that realm of those teachings and that style of trading. And the way I see the market is a lot different than I've ever seen it before. And I'll never look at it the same again. And if you want to learn the way I learned, passing on the knowledge, check out the link in the description or in my bio and discover the best chartist on YouTube that few know about. And that is I'm just completely appreciative because I was able to learn from the best, and I never would have been able to learn what I know if not for my strategic forecast. So check that out, and remember, don't let the trade control you. Thanks for watching.